A few final thoughts then about living water. What makes living water is that it's flowing water. Rain flowing from the sky, or water springing out of the ground, or even a river flowing downstream. And it's living water as opposed to dead or stagnant or pooled water that only grows more and more stale over the course of time. An example of this stagnant or dead water, if you will, would be water that was sitting there in the cisterns, or sitting there still in some kind of a pool where algae was growing more and more rank across the top. And perhaps the greatest example of this dead water, if you will, was really the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea was called the Dead Sea because as rainwater fell over the land to the north or upstream of the Dead Sea, and that rainwater slowly dissolved minerals from the geological surface and carried those minerals downstream with it into the water. Where the water flowed into the Dead Sea, it brought more and more of these kinds of minerals or salts. And although the water would evaporate out of the Dead Sea, the minerals simply added and congealed. As a result, although there was constantly an inflow, the Dead Sea was really releasing nothing, and it became more and more stagnant and stale with these minerals. Over the course of time, it became unable to sustain life, and it literally was dead. It was poisonous. It was called the Dead Sea. The idea here, I think the spiritual truth here is this: if we become something that receives God's blessing, but we don't ever allow ourselves to become the means by which God's blessings flow out to others, we in turn become a Dead Sea. The only way we can be living is for God's blessings to not only flow into us, but become the conduit by which God's blessings also flow out to others as well. This was the living water that Jesus talked about, not only being in us, but becoming streams of living water flowing out through us, through our hearts, to the others around us as well. Again, it is possible for us just to become the receivers of gifts, but we turn in on ourselves and we hoard them to ourselves. And in the process, the more that we actually hoard and the less we give to others, the more we actually become dead inside. Only to be living is to releasing those blessings that we receive and giving those blessings to others as well. So a couple of final thoughts on living water and how we can be living water to others. Bye-bye.